One thing is trust, right? Like this is your life. This is everything you've built. This is like trust has to be there. And the sibling of that is principles and values have to be very similar. There are many firms that don't have the resources to attract talent and have, whether it's retired partner obligations, debt, or have another structural reason that capital will enable them to actually survive. All right, I'm going to say one thing, and I'm going to so everyone hears about private equity firms, right? We go around the country, we try to figure out what's best for our firms that we've partnered with, and you and your firm, we met every outsourcing solution from Zimbabwe to literally the whole world. The professionalism, the thoughtfulness, the quality, and the results that we've been able to accomplish with our joint venture is outrageous, has blown away all of our expectations. And we just, from everybody at the F3 family, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. Yeah, I'm supposed to do your introduction.
That's the only reason I'm here. I wanted to make that point.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. We have with us Alex Goldberg from F3 Partners, Founders for Family. Nice name, Alex, first of all. So in full disclosure, Alex and F3 and us are working together strategically on the outsourcing front. And the platform they have built is amazing, where now they've acquired, I don't know, half a dozen firms already.
Yeah, and hopefully by the end of this call, a few more.
Yes. And they are one of the early starters into the private equity space, specifically dedicated to the accounting firm. So our relationship goes back like 6 months to a year when we started in
2 years.
Yeah. Feels like few years. So full disclosure, and today my objective is we work with a lot of mid-market firms, right, from 150 to 1,000. And there is a lot of skepticism, cautiousness around this, working. And hearing from himself, would be something that it allays a lot of myths in and around what private equity is perceived, how it is perceived. And because it's new, this change is viewed with skepticism. So that's our objective, Alex.
Great.
So why don't we start with introduction about F3 and vision?
I would love to. So F3 is a 2-year-old private equity firm. We started with the idea of really doing two things. The first is people-only businesses. They're different than a factory, right? You take out Taco Tuesdays at a sawmill, it's going to cut just as many logs as it did the week before. If you take out Taco Tuesdays at an accounting firm, you probably have a few fewer managers show up, right? And that goodwill bank the managing partner has is probably a little bit shorter. So understanding that is super important. And the second is our whole team comes from some of the biggest, most sophisticated investment platforms in the world. I mean, I've done deals that have been on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, things of that nature. And we've learned a lot. We've learned how to do, what does best-in-class recruiting look like? What does best-in-class HR look like? What does best-in-class IT look like? And those are all things that accountants shouldn't have had exposure to. So they're really good at what they do. They're good at work. They're good at getting clients. They're good at servicing clients. They're good at fostering development of talent. But what if we added money and we added that expertise to their business? What could happen? And so far, the results have been really amazing.
Yeah, and why don't you share a little bit about how you acquired the firm in last 12 months to a year?
Sure. So February was actually our first deal. So it hasn't even been a year yet.
Oh, great.
And today we're at about 80 million of revenue.
Wow.
And by year end, I expect us to be in mid 100s. We've added partners. We've had no attrition. We've been able to increase comp across the board, right? Really, by the way, large part to you with your help. And we've been able to build this back office that whether it's you want to do a podcast, we got a pod. Seriously, we have a podcast room now and we have an editor. So it can turn around in a day. Like, how important that is, right? The speed and making sure that it's cut correctly. I'm sure all of my faux pas will be cut out of this.
Yeah.
So that anybody listening won't tell. But from that, right, I gave an extreme example to something as basic as a CFO. Right, we've gotten the gamut. We've put together, I don't know the number of people, and I'm gonna get hit for not knowing the number of people, but I think it's 20 something. that are coming on between now and then at that point who manage the back office. And the place where we are today is everyone's excited to be part of the team, uh, happy with the results. Not everything's perfect, but overall very happy with the results. And we're all at the beginning of this journey together.
Yep. And one thing I have kind of noticed about how you operate, because now we have worked, is a really hands-off approach. I have seen, you are not very much into the daily, day-to-day of things, not going into, not tracking too much KPIs. You are in the broader picture while you're aligning, things incrementally. But is that by design that you operate like?
Think about the people you deal with at the firms, right? Think about in Utah, the guys you deal with every day. They're absolute rock stars. Why am I getting involved? What value could I add, right? What we're there for is we get told by management, we don't, we're really by management, hey, here's what we need. And we put it together. And then, the first few things we put together, I think PR partners are starting to, and managers are starting to feel the impact of that. But over the next year, they're going to see everything that we just started putting together really have an impact on their day to day. I'm never going to be as good at what they do as as the people right, that you deal with. Let me do what I'm good at. Let them do what they're good at, and it's a great marriage.
So let's say an ideal firm who is looking at this podcast, doing 8 million to 10 million in revenue. Okay, they are being approached by, today you guys were starting early, but today we have probably 5 other players in the place.
Probably 5,000.
Yeah, 5,000. Yeah,
5,000. I mean,
so now they are looking at a partner to work with. What, according to you, should be something that they should be looking at?
the number one thing is trust, right? Like this is your life. This is everything you've built. This is like trust has to be there. And the sibling of that is principles and values have to be very similar. Okay. If you don't check that box, it's going to be tough. Might not be if everything works perfectly, everyone will be happy. But if there's any bumps in the road, it'll be tough. So let's move that to the side. After that, they should look for someone, a deal they understand, a deal that fits their needs, whether it's succession or it's liquidity or it's the ability to roll more equity so they get the biggest, total value and be part of, you capture a lot of that.
And I think you should elaborate on all 3 points.
Okay.
A little bit, yes.
Okay. So let's take succession, for example. There are many firms that don't have the resources to attract talent and have, whether it's retired partner obligations, debt, or have another structural reason that capital will enable them to actually survive. That's an obvious place for private equity to be helpful. Great firm has we call it good business, bad balance sheet.
Yeah.
Right. Let's fix the balance sheet and the business can sort it. Okay. The second is where you have partners who are soon retiring, who, let's face it, the value of the firm is worth more than it was 5 years ago. Right? The multiples and the valuation metrics, it's not 1 times revenue, I'll pay you over 20 years, maybe, right? It's, you get more cash up front, you get a larger total amount, and those partners deserve some liquidity and they deserve to get paid. Like that's another place where private equity is really your only place to get that kind of capital.
Before you get on the third point, do you think with a lot of private equity exposure, the older deferred comp retirement methods are now changing and changing rapidly?
I don't know because I can't, I don't see everybody's operating agreement, but how do they not? I mean, whether you built the firm and you earned it, or you're lucky enough that you're in charge and you own equity when, the world decided that private equity should come into accounting and valuations should change. Like that's a fact of life. They've changed. They have to reflect reality. Have to.
And then we come to third one, when they want to roll over their equity into the parent company and be part of the.
And this was something I called you about the other day. I just couldn't believe it. Our most recent deal is half roll.
Okay.
Half. And the reason is the guy pulls up a spreadsheet, and he's a brilliant man. Really, we're very, very, very lucky to partner with him and his firm. Not saying his name because I imagine he would be embarrassed, but pulls up a spreadsheet and shows me, hey, Alex, I'm going to make $26 million if I sell it all today. With you, I think I make 45 or maybe more. And 45 is bigger than 26. And I think the number has gotten much higher recently. And, bigger numbers with money is usually better. So he said, okay, I want to roll. And he didn't do the other firms and decided to do work with us because not only do we allow you to roll, but we are a very simple structure. You know what your equity is. It's very easy for you to value it. And we're hyper transparent. I think that transparency is something, and easy to understand. The fact that it was easy to understand are two things that said, okay, this works.
Yesterday, I was meeting with a client. We were in dinner together, and I'm introduced to one of our clients. And, usually the questions of this mid-category firm of 55, 60 people is, what's next once private equity comes in? And my advice to him was, if you want to go private equity, it's an internal calling, and your aspirations, you have to meet Alex. So I told them, I think, because, the way you run the show, when you say you don't want to get in your own way, that's the most important thing. When people are doing well, you just don't want to change and start basically throttling the apple cart. I would say you don't want to do that, as long as, and slower progression is nice in this ways. I understand when you are getting everything aligned and you incrementally making progress. I think that's a very good way of doing things, rather than making some drastic change and which doesn't go well with the firm. I mean, you want to preserve the culture as well.
Yeah. I think it's very important to do that. But preserving the culture doesn't mean, I'll give you an example. Sure. You can have a firm where everybody working there is now 40 and they didn't make the culture. The culture was made by 4 guys who are 74 and they're leaving with this transaction. And, let's say there's 6 partners who are all in their 40s who are there and they want to make a drastic change. You know what? This is a great opportunity to do it, right? Put your stamp on it. And we've seen that. That's the place where we've seen drastic changes in businesses, is where the old guard is left and the new guard is all on the same, and they got to be all on the same page for the change.
Typically, what would be an ideal firm, according to you, that should benefit from the platform that you have built? So now, because I know you have presence across, I think, 6 different geographies. California is there, Utah is there, then we have Florida. I don't know, Washington, yes. So now we have the presence is increasing across US. So what are the ideal firm? I mean, what should be they looking at? Because private equity is opening up now, and I think it's just going to get bigger from here for the
Period, full stop.
yeah. So now, for example, firms who are looking I just made why was it Boomer Summit, and one of our clients, and I made introduction to one of our partners.
Yeah.
So I thought why it was ideal, because they were thinking in their mind. Why it was ideal situation, I'll just narrate that. There are 5 partners, 4 of them are actually nearing the retirement age. So they need a success. The first reason that you quoted, a succession was a challenge. And the 5th partner, or 5th and the 6th partner, who has little time to retirement, they think they need support. They won't be able to manage the whole practice on their own.
Yeah.
So when you come in as partner, probably solve that problem. And on top of that, you have a location in the same area.
Yeah, with that are filled with really special fancy.
So yeah, so that was something, for me, learning that this is how you want to integrate and kind of multiply. So yeah,
I'd say our ideal firm is, and if you're in Dallas or the Northeast, give us a call, because geographically that's a place we're really excited to be to expand to. Our ideal firm is one that has great people first culture, growth oriented, but their back office isn't that of $150 million firm.
Mm-hmm.
And they know it. And they know what they would look like if we save 4 hours of everyone's week. And what I tell people is, we save 4 hours, keep 2 of them. Spend another 2 hours, or keep 3 of them, right? Yeah, 1, you could get a little more work done. But during those peaks, being able to save meaningful time to people's work week you're going to have a happier culture. You're going to be able to get more talent. That is what leads to growth and success. So a firm that has those things, but is missing that back office component. And then the last bonus piece is if they understand or they want to understand why the equity is going to be worth so much more as part of this than by themselves.
Who are actually looking at the third option of rolling over and how this
We require a role. We require a role.
I think that's a point of differentiation between you and others, where some of these guys do not have rollover options and they want.
Well, I get it. I get it. The values are X and they're obviously going to be 3, 4, 5X. Like it's very simple math. Our view is if in other industries, what happens is like there'll be a sale at the end of this year that everyone's going to see the partners who rolled equity are going to make 4 or 5 times what they had put in. That's going to get out. And then everyone's going to become experts all of a sudden in the valuation of accounting firm equity. Seriously.
Yeah.
And then they're going to realize, wait, why am I selling for a mid-single digit multiple of EBITDA when it's worth a mid-double digit as part of a platform that's private equity backed that's got all these gizmos? Can I get that multiple? And our view is if we've been the platform that people are able to participate, when people have that realization, like the firm we just partnered with, we're going to be the obvious call. Straightforward, easy to understand, and you get that bump.
That's what I told the person I met, that if you work with Alex, probably one thing that you would like about it, he's a straight shooter. You know, he just
Sometimes I've been told that too direct, but yeah, I think it's easier to do business.
he'll try to do things in 2 minutes, which typically requires a 20-30 minute conversation. So you don't think, sometimes other people may feel like that, is it really it? But yeah, that's really it,
Yeah.
So that's all I got. We need to conclude this. Alex, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.